In a quiet town where dusty roads met silent evenings, there stood two houses side by side. One was large, painted white, with iron gates and shining windows. The other was small, old, and made of faded bricks, its walls cracked by time. Between these two houses lived two very different men. The rich man's name was Edward Harrington. The poor man's name was Samuel Reed. Though their houses shared the same wall, their lives were worlds apart. Edward Harrington woke up every morning to the sound of birds in his private garden. His bed was soft, his room warm, and his worries few. He owned factories, lands, and businesses across the city. People respected him, feared him, and sometimes envied him. He had everything money could buy except peace. Next door, Samuel Reed woke up before sunrise. Not because he wanted to, but because hunger had a loud voice. His house had one small room, a broken wooden table, and a thin mattress on the floor. Samuel worked as a cleaner in the city market. His hands were rough, his clothes old, but his heart was gentle. Every morning, Samuel passed by Edward's tall gate on his way to work. He would lower his eyes, not out of shame, but out of habit. Edward often watched Samuel from his window. This man lives so close, yet so far, Edward once thought. But he never spoke to him. Two lives, one wall. The wall between their houses was old and weak. Cracks ran through it like scars of untold stories. Children from the street used to say the wall listened to both lives, the laughter of the rich house, and the silence of the poor one. Samuel lived alone. His wife had died years ago due to illness he could not afford to treat. His only son had left the town in search of work and never returned. Some nights, Samuel sat by the wall and whispered prayers, hoping they would somehow cross over. Edward lived with servants. His house was always full, yet he felt lonely. His wife had left him, tired of his cold heart and endless focus on wealth. His children lived abroad and spoke to him only through short phone calls. Money had built Edward a mansion, but it had also built walls around his heart. The first incident. One stormy night, rain poured like the sky had broken. Thunder shook the town, and lightning painted the darkness white. Samuel's roof began to leak. Water dripped onto his mattress, soaking his only blanket. He tried placing a pot under the leak, then another, until there were no pots left. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed. Part of the shared wall collapsed. Samuel rushed outside, fear in his eyes. To his shock, the fallen bricks revealed a view into Edward's garden, green grass, bright lights, and warmth. Edward heard the noise too. For the first time in years, the rich man stepped outside during a storm. And for the first time, the two men stood face to face. An awkward meeting. Samuel lowered his head. "I am sorry, sir," he said softly. The wall, it fell. Edward looked at the broken wall, then at Samuel's wet clothes and tired face. "It's just a wall," Edward replied. Silence followed. Rain continued to fall. Edward noticed Samuel shivering. "You'll catch a cold standing there," Edward said. Samuel nodded but did not move. Edward hesitated, then spoke words he never thought he would say. "Come inside for a moment." Samuel froze. Inside a rich man's house? That was a world he had never entered. I don't want to trouble you," Samuel said. Edward surprised himself. "It's no trouble." Inside the mansion. Samuel stepped into warmth for